Hello and welcome to the season finale of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Daniel Scott Newton operating the cameras tonight, and we do have a championship or two to decide here at Sebring for this round 12 of the championship. Daniel, it's been another fantastic season of this championship. It has been another dominant season as well for Ross Rizzo. Perhaps not quite as dominant as last season. You know, he's had lots of challenges, but his tenacity, his consistency had brought him to this position where it looks like we're going to crown him as a double champion, an exceptionally rare thing to do in this very competitive field.
Absolutely. First off, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in around the world from. But yeah, you're right, sir. It's been a fantastic season throughout the course of the championship so far. Ross Rizzo, is sitting top of the leaderboard, but he's been pushed all the way this season, which didn't have that last time out. So this has been a little bit of a different take for him on this championship. But all going well, he will have the ability to retain that number one on the door card for the next championship.
Yeah, he's won a bunch of races so far this season, finished on the podium almost every race as well. I think won all the Enduros, which is always a benefit because they're worth double points. This one, just a 45-minute sprint to round out the season. And as you've probably already seen, it is Sebring International Raceway, and it is at night as well. Do you think the night conditions are going to affect these drivers at all, Daniel? Do you think that plays a part with the track temperature, maybe the visibility, or do you think once these drivers are locked in, really it's just a racetrack and they're going to find the fastest way around it?
Look, I think they're going to get on top of it pretty quickly on. Obviously, they've been able to do quite a bit of running throughout the course of the week in the dark to get very familiar with it. Sebring, one of those circuits that doesn't have a lot of trackside lighting as well, so very much like Le Mans, where when you go down the Mulsanne Straight, you don't have that extra visibility. So utilising the cars around you to see where you're going going to be very key. But these drivers are very good in this championship, so they're going to adapt extremely quick. Sebring itself is going to present some great challenges. We know you may not be a complete fan of it, but watching these guys work their way down through Sunset Bend, well, nighttime bend as we might call it tonight, it's going to be really interesting to see. These cars are going to buck and squirm a lot as they get around there, and while it is a fixed setup that everyone's running, it's still going to present its own unique set of challenges.
Yes, I appreciate that pun, by the way. That's some of the best comedy that we've had all season in this 2021 season 1 on Apex Racing TV. So we'll have to timestamp that and push that all over social media. We have got about a minute left of practice. These guys are already done pre-qualifying. Just the one split tonight for these guys. Over 40 drives today. Once again, the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship bringing out a lot of drivers. We've probably been averaging about 60 odd, 50, 60 odd on average so far this season. I'm sure there'll be a plethora of new drivers joining us for next season when this championship will get back underway. So really positive stuff, great work from the admins, and hopefully this race, similar to the 3.5 race we had last night, which was absolutely thrilling, hopefully this race will do the same by providing a proper good way, a good symbolic way to end this championship off. Season 14, of course, of this superb series. So the grid for the final round of the championship is Dylan Burst with possibly his first ever pole position in this series. He is part of Vendaval Sim Racing, who are a top team in the iRacing world. Have won special events before. I haven't seen much of Vendaval though in the past couple of years though, but it's a nice job there from Dylan to put it on pole position, kind of a guest driver for tonight, I think. There's Will Newell, who lines up in second place for Delta Sport UK U4K. There's Ross Rizzo, championship leader, and pretty much won the championship already. Nathan Huppers with another good qualifying performance. He's really improved on that this season. There's Andrew Dyson, Michael Healy, Tom Huggan, Jesse Butler, Daniel Yearman, and Dale Braid. Adrian Vlock and Steve Janssen round out the top 12. In 13th place is Ashley Collins. Jason Bentz lines up in 14th, albeit he might be signed from the pits as Collins. No, I think he's now there. Then it's Michael Whiting, Brian Phillips, Chris Taylor, Scott Forsyth, Paul Warwick, Rob Bowden, Craig Mason, Todd George, Tim Himbury in 24th, Lee Cogan, Cam Walker, Matt Bailey, Pete Minette, Michael Schroeder, Lucas Micallef, Lee Siddles, Simone Perigo, Chris Barnes, Jake Madhire, John Pickett, and Jarbon Woods in 36th place. It's a big old grid this. Justin Quinn, Shannon Fever, Matthew Kidd, and Joel Proctor at the top 40. Then Shane Griffin, Tristan Kosh, Richie Domingo, Nathan Saunders, Dylan Whitworth, Carl Goodger, and Adrian Lecty. Axbird just doing the stewarding for tonight. It's good to see Lecty actually out there. I feel like we've missed Lecty for a little while, but not quite sure. Daniel, do you know much about Dylan Burse? I mean, like I said, Vendaval Sim Racing top team. I mean, it's certainly a couple of years ago it was built top tier. I mean, I can't lie. I mean, I don't really follow, the top events, the pro events too much. I don't seem to see a lot of Vendaval in championships, but have you seen Dylan in many races recently?
No, not a driver that I've seen out on track. So great to have the likes of Vandervelde actually coming into the championship. So I'd be really interested to see how Dylan goes with it. I mean, pretty strong talent to already be able to put the car up on pole position for the start of this one. So he's adapted very quickly to the setup, and what we kind of expected from these guys. So really interested to see. Did also note too, Jason Bentz will be starting from pit lane on this one as well. So maybe just trying to stay out of the foray into turn one and avoid some of the contact, which is very synonymous with the long run through turn one here.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a good place though. I mean, he was in the top 15 on the grid, which seems bizarre not to start on the grid, but like you said, you can get involved in incidents. Probably there will be an incident, just drivers running wide at turn one, so easy to then spin and spear off coming onto turn one. I'm really hoping that comes true, by the way. Of course, we had a Road America where I predicted a pile-up. I'm hoping my crystal ball is still polished, and I can see that one. A couple more corners to go for these just before we get back going. Will there be a different attitude, you think, for Ross tonight, Daniel, in terms of the fact that he's got the championship in the bag? He doesn't have to win this race. He doesn't really want to end it with a DNF. Do you think that drive to win will be just as big as it normally is?
Oh, for sure. I mean, defending champion love to go into the next season finishing this one with a win. Much the same way that he started it. So I don't see any reason why he won't be looking to do that. We know that he's very adept with getting the most out of this strategy and utilising the car and pit stop. So expecting to do that, and that could be a unique thing for Dylan and the guys ahead to work their way around.
Yeah, it'll be a good challenge for them. Let's see if Rizzo can make it another race victory here at Sebring as the drivers pull away, and it's actually Neil who will reach the start-finish line ahead of the rest. He straight away gets past Buzz. Good start as well for Hutpert to get past Rizzo. He's having to go defensive down into turn one. In fact, Rizzo might be trying to get that position back. They're 3 wide. Further down in the order, great start for Paul Warwick to gain 3 places from 20th on the grid. He's the big gainer so far in this race. Now into double file. A spin off for Dale Braid, who slides off into the wall. We've also got a couple of other drivers. I think that's Micallef and maybe Lecty gaining a lot of places, up 11 places Lecty. Micallef, Bailey and Braid all having dreadful starts as Rizzo moves back up into 3rd position. He's side by side with Hutpert at the moment. Can Hutpert get ahead? No, it is Hutpert. He's just pulling ahead at the moment. Rizzo with better straight line speed though in that Ford. The outside line can work very well into this medium speed right-hander, and Rizzo swoops around the outside. He does claim back that 3rd position almost as soon as he lost it.
And keep an eye there on Andrew Dyson just hovering around the back behind Nathan Hupperts. He's looking to make this move as well. So, we saw him have a very strong run last time out, and again continuing in that form for the car and DPR Racing. And he's in a tough spot here. You're going to go around the outside up in towards Indianapolis. I don't think he's going to quite get the move done on Huppets, but he's very forceful with it, actually gets it done. That's a great run as they work their way up onto the backstrap for the first time.
Oh, that's a big off for Butler. Phillips as well has had his own separate incident, I think. Although Phillips now does move past, so clear wasn't as effective. So Jesse Butler, he started up in 8th position, is heading down the order outside the top 20 now. Meanwhile, Dyson completing that move on Huppers. He got a very nice launch did Huppers, as did many of the drivers on the even side of the grid, but that's a huge slide for Dyson as he bobbles over the bumps, and already quite a big divide between these drivers out in the lead. Dyson again going for a big move down the inside, but that's not going to work out. And these guys battling is just inviting more drivers. As Burst moves back up into the lead. Newell got the jump at the start. It was a bizarre jump. I'm not sure what happened, how Newell managed to get ahead. Maybe Burst was just very slow to react to the green flag. But he's back into the lead again now, and we wait to see if he can pull away now from the rest of the chasing pack.
Yeah, as we watch all the guys through, they're really sort of starting to settle into a bit of a rhythm. The train is starting to stretch out just a little bit, all the way back to turn 4, as we see our leaders continuing on pretty handily. But interestingly, no huge wrecks, which is a little surprising as the guys work their way around this early phase. Although that being said, we've got some cars down and around at the bottom of the hairpin.
Yeah, Chica Vazira there, a driver who is fairly new to the championship, but has made a fantastic entrance, was running up in some pretty exclusive places at Honda, but he's not going to be doing that too much tonight. That was the 135, which he collided with. That's Perego, Simone Perego. He's in 21st place. Great start for Perego, by the way, up 11 places. Oh, and then there was further contact, wasn't there? With maybe Matt Bailey for OMR. Was that an OMR livery? That may have not been an OMR livery. Maybe Carl Goodger could have been an M4 Sport livery. I really don't know. But yeah, that was certainly a further collision. Here was it from Perego, and a bit of a Constantino effect. The driver's real slowing up. So Perego glitching out. Wonder if that compromised his vision. And a little bit of damage as well onto the BMW. But yeah, that could well be a penalty in the waiting for him.
Yeah, definitely. And potentially Chica Vazira could maybe get one also for the rejoin, although we'll have to wait and see how that one's adjudicated, because he did make contact, as we saw there, with one of the Porsches as well. So that could not possibly go a good way for him, but we'll wait and see what comes of that one as we focus in now on Tom Huggin, down a spot from where he started, but hovering just behind the back of Michael Healy, the Trick Esports car, and he's bringing Adrian Block along for the ride as well. So these three should be in a pretty good little battle here for a little bit as they work their way down in towards the hairpin.
I almost exclaimed a few moments ago as we have got that's a drive through penalty for Adrian Block, so we didn't see that one, but there's a penalty for Vlog. Oh, Vlog was doing so well as well, 9th place. Had an upturn form actually as Vlog. Kind of almost kind of joining this lead pack, Huggin and co in recent rounds, but that's a shame for him that that's really going to wreck his race. Yeah, who would that have been with? I think that may have been with Braid. Or Janssen, apologies. Anyway, I almost exclaimed a few minutes ago, because when the drivers run wide onto the dirt in this nighttime weather, it looks like there's fire coming out of the circuit. I mean, watch for it, particularly through turn 1, that's where I saw it. But if you ever get bored in this race, then watch out for the fire, because it looks pretty cool. I was very confused for a moment, but it is just dirt. It's an unfortunate feature not being added to iRacing just yet. It doesn't look like it's going to be added for the new build. Actually, I mean, talking of the new builds, Daniel, we could well have Hockenheim on the schedule for next season. I'm personally not a massive fan of that circuit. I think it's a little bit overrated, but it would be a welcome addition. Do you think these cars would fit well around that circuit? Do you think the series would find a good race around them?
I think it'd be a really interesting run. Obviously, very new circuit potentially incoming, and that provides its own set of challenges. And for all the drivers in this series, in the event that we did go there, they're always going to be looking to be the first driver to put their name in the checkbox to take the first win for the series. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a bit of a he said, she said track. I'm not a big fan of it personally. Like the stadium section's very good. It's a little bit lazy in a few areas. It would be great if they were fortunate enough to get the classic Hockenheim ring with the big blast through the forest down into the chicanes there. But unfortunately, that circuit long gone by the wayside now.
I mean, it would be a cool rallycross circuit if they could get that one. A few trees to navigate around as well. But yes, one thing that is quite positive, it looks as though they're going to have a track configuration where you can go straight from the hairpin to the stadium section, so you can skip that kind of fast right into the slow left. So I don't know if that's some kind of consolation with it being a bit more high speed. Would be a proper slipstream circuit if that was the case. Yeah, stadium section, very cool. Sax curve in particular, awesome corner. The rest of it, not so much. But still, will be a nice addition. Still waiting for Knock Hill to come. That's the circuit that everyone is really waiting for to arrive to the service. Anyway, Newell is coming under a bit more pressure now from Rizzo. Rizzo showing his championship credentials. And he's really closing in. That is close through Sunset Bend. A drive through penalty for a jump start for the 317 and the 135. I was concerned that would be Newell actually, because he of course was second place on the grid and yet was in the lead at the start finish line. But he has seemingly escaped from that one. But the 317 and the 135 not quite so lucky. He will be having to travel through the pits in just a bit.
Yeah, not a great way to get off the line there. I'm a little surprised we saw Will managing to get on off the start of the front of the field. Potentially should have been just holding station there. So that, something may come of that later on. We'll wait to see how that's adjudicated. But for the moment, with Rizzo, he's closing in on the back here of Newell. Last time by, the drivers put in virtually identical times, both 156.7s. As they navigate their way around Sebring. So if anything, Ross potentially being held up just a fraction, as you can see on the timing scoring down the bottom there, to 8 tenths lap 2, a further 5 tenths on the third lap. And now that he's bottled up behind the back of Newell, he's struggling to find a way to get through, and he's going to have to try and release himself soon if he wants to get off and underway chasing down Dylan Gross.
Yeah, I think Rizzo's much slower, is he, than Burst, and just a 45-minute race. And so yeah, if he lap day stays behind, brilliant. Looking for that purple lights on the back. That's one of the best features I remember from that car. Absolutely blew my mind when it joined the service about 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. It was like, Le Mans 2017, I think. And yes, that still looks very cool because lots of customization you can do. Well, I say lots of customization, you can change the colour of those lights, but that's enough customization for myself. So the brakes glowing here in the night at Sebring, about 10 o'clock in the evening in Sim. Right now, Rizzo, just as close as he was on the last lap. He's not one to go for ambitious moves. We did see him get a penalty, of course, at Monza, but that was an exceptionally rare occurrence, really a once in a few seasons occurrence. And not close enough to do turn 1 again, and that gap to Burst up to 3 seconds now. Yearman and Healy pretty close to one another in 6th and 7th, but no changes there. Not too many overtakes going on at the moment. Probably the closest match actually is down in 28th place. John Pickett leading a train of cars. They're not exceptionally close to one. They're not nose to tail. You can see they're all kind of picking up the draft from one another. So this is Pickett, Mikolev after a that was an alright start actually for Mikolev. I thought he had some issues there. That's a 6.28. Gets a penalty. That is Joe Chicavazara for that one. So yeah, Dan was absolutely spot on with that one. Penalty initially for the driver who hit him, but then Chicavazara not helping himself out with an unsafe rejoin. So yeah, he will drop behind these guys. Of course, one mandatory pit stop for these guys to make as well. And we expect the drivers to be able to go to about 30 to 35 minutes, so they choose. Ooh, as Proctor's very wide there, that's going to leave him vulnerable. But yeah, the drivers can go as far as about 35 minutes. And that means that they're in the fuel window now. They could go to the end of the race from this points. So yeah, might be something tempting for the drivers, as it's not Proctor under pressure. In fact, it's Perigo moving past Griffin right there. So Perigo was the driver who got the drive through penalty earlier on, of course. Served it, and he's back up into 31st position. He should be making some quick progress on these drivers facing.
Well, he's cutting back through the field very quickly after that penalty, to say, Sam, and he's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him, but he should be able to dispense of that not too far up the road. Lee Cogan in a good battle as well. We've got Cam Walker just in behind as the guys work their way into Sunset Bend again, and a very great shot there. You can see two different driving styles as both guys taking individual lines in the Ferrari, trying to work their way through that and still close off against the car in front. See whether they can gain a little bit more speed here, but so far just pushing the car around as they need to.
Oh, that's Rizzo ahead. Oh, and it's so close to contact. What a move from Ross Rizzo. And if we get a replay of that one, that was round the outside at the hairpin. Not an easy job, and putting a lot of faith on your rival as well to not understeer into you. And Neil abided, and Rizzo then runs a little bit wide. He's not exactly pulling away. Here was how the move was done. So this is a little bit, or maybe he got it done beforehand and then was defending afterwards at the hairpin. Oh, that it. Well, I was skeptical that he would go for the ambitious move, but that was risky. So easy for the driver to head to suddenly change their line and tighten up the corner. If that happened, then well, that's a guaranteed crash. And Rizzo had to defend for a few more corners straight after that, offline all the way, but defended brilliantly down into the hairpin. And yeah, does have that second position, but already 5 seconds behind Dylan Burst. Probably the race win over for Rizzo, but still that second place would be very satisfying if he could claim it.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't be too quick to say that it's a job done here for Rizzo, that he's not going to be able to close up. I mean, we know that he's very good in the strategy game as it unfolds, and that's going to be the big advantage that he's got right here at the moment. Is Dylan's never run in this championship. How is he going to play it? When does he come into the pits? Does he maybe make a miscalculation on the fuel that allows Ross to get back in? We simply don't know at this point. It was only 13 minutes and so a long way to go. So I wouldn't discount him as yet. I mean, we've seen Ross come from a lot further back and still be able to take a race win at the end of it.
Yeah, certainly cannot count such a successful driver as Ross Rizzo out of the championship. And of course, if you get a safety car as well, there's certain tactics that you've got to go for in a safety car. You got to pit under the safety car. I mean, there's absolutely no doubts about that. And so we have seen drivers even at this cycle. I think about 3 seasons ago, I think we had a new driver leading the way. Safety car in like lap 1 didn't come into the pits and lost the race by a country mile because well, they just weren't familiar with the series, as you say. So yeah, it could be a downfall for Burst, because it has brought that gap down a little bit since he moved up into second position. No further contact, but no further action, apologies, between 131 and 101, as we see Adrian Lexi on his return to the championship, moving up into 17th position. That is past Cam Walker. Lexi now up 30 places in 15 minutes. Well, he had an awesome start, Lexi, but most of those positions have just been him picking off the drivers one by one. We know that he's a top 10 driver in reality, is Lexi. But yeah, really showing that now for him is that he's only got 2 more drivers within 10 seconds of him ahead. So it'll be tricky to get too much further up the race. Still plenty of time remaining there.
Absolutely. I mean, but let's not discount too, there is a safety car that we potentially could see here tonight if there is a big enough event. We know we do have a car stationary, number 39. That's Dylan Whitworth down off turn 3, just getting to get his car back underway, and he's taken a very wide line there. So secondary bit of contact. I think actually Dylan might have been that car that we saw involved in the re-entry issue there with Chikavazara. But here's a look at the replay just to see what happened. Gets it up through the curbs pretty nicely, nothing too untoward there. And actually just the back end getting away from him, and he makes minor contact there with the wall. So not too bad, but just taking his time to get back on circuit, which is good to see, not just pushing the rejoin entry.
yeah, just takes a couple of looks at your relative to realise that it is remarkable. I mean, I do stewarding for a couple of different series, and we always punish those rejoins more harshly than anything else. When you're joining 90 degrees to the circuit, when there's drivers within a couple of seconds of your relative, it really is no excuse. But yeah, smart driving there from him to wait a little bit as we tune back in for our leaders. You can see half a second faster, bright green there, but it was a poor lap there from Burst. But Rizzo maintain the gap. It's a bit of a shame. Come on, guys, safety car, please. As a stop and hold for causing a collision and ignoring local yellows. That's a little bit of an unusual one because, yeah, usually, of course, on iRacing, no kind of enforcement of local yellows. You know, you can overtake with yellow flags, but well, Bailey's been caught up, and that was a while back on lap 3. 30-second stop and hold, a big one for Bailey. He will be tumbling down the order. Currently running Bailey in. I can't even see him on the field, but 43rd position actually. There he is. Yep. Our Esports already actually a lap and a half down on the leaders, as we see this graphic. Lots of sector times around this, like it's 7 sectors around this track, but in each one of them, Burst just a little bit quicker, and that gap has been restored back up to just over 5 seconds.
Yeah, Burst doing a really stout job here. Another personal, or actually fastest lap of the race last time by for him. So he's averaging about 0.3 of a second quicker than we're seeing from Ross at the moment. Hence why the gap's going up. And as we watch these guys work their way around the lap, still continuing to take time away from Ross there. Have a look back at Adrian Vlock getting a move done, along with Pete Manette in the race on Oscar going through on Dylan Wood. And Wood return serve up into 2. That's a nice bit of driving between those two as they navigate turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Wood now up to 16 places. We've had some huge changes so far in this race. I mean, which is a bit surprising because I feel like there weren't that many drivers out of position for qualifying. We haven't had many incidents really. I mean, we've had a few kind of small incidents, but no like pile-ups, and so yeah, and no safety cars either. So so it is surprising that we've had quite so much movement. A few drivers as well coming into the pits, which has affected the order just a bit. Big thanks to SDK Gaming for helping us out with this series and all of our broadcasts on Apex Racing TV. SDK Gaming provide our lovely overlay, which you can see with the pit lane times in the bottom. I sometimes miss that one, but on the left you've got the timing tower, and there's so much other things as well. Of course, Scott was previously showing the graphic for the lap time comparison. Some absolutely fantastic data which you can collect, and the great thing about SDK Gaming is that you can pretty much make it look however you want, whilst all the calculations, the maths, and some of the usability is all kind of built in. You can get obviously just an overlay like this, or you can take this overlay and change all the CSS code and make it look however you want. Look at our other series. We've got the Formula 3.5 Championship, for example. Looks totally different to this, for example. And also we've got a NASCAR template as well. You can make it look like the GP2 overlay of a few seasons back. It really is a lot of customization. So go to sdkgaming.com for all of that. Certainly the go-to overlay in iRacing if you're broadcasting, streaming, or if you just want a heads-up display. Lexi past Kogan then as a few drivers come into the pits for their pit stops then. Unfortunately, actually, I think that was some lap drivers actually just coming out of the pits. No trouble though for these drivers to make their way past.
No, they're looking pretty good. And for those cars that are a little bit out of position here and a lap down already, still being very courteous and sticking out of harm's way and letting these guys go through. One thing I did want to touch on too, just a moment ago, Dylan Burst did have a moment. He had a very awkward lap going around. It was about 1.5 seconds slower than that of Ross Rizzo, which did bring the gap down marginally. It got down under 4 seconds, which before a couple laps ago, it was up around 5 seconds. So he is having a few moments that are starting to impact his run. He has got a lot of lap traffic ahead that he's going to have to contend with. He's just dispensed with one, and he's already up or heading up towards the back of position 36, which at the moment is Dylan Quinn in the M4 Sports Porsche at the moment as well, only a few corners ahead.
Well, it is Ross Rizzo in second position. Anyone who ruled him out of the race win earlier on would be an absolute moron for saying that, because he is such a good driver. Look at that. I mean, to me, that looks like fire. It doesn't look like dirt. It looks like fire. I like it. It's not realistic by any means, but, you know, it does look cool. Phillips has had an off. Phillips has had an off. I think he had an off a little while back, actually, as well. He's now 8 seconds behind Steve Janssen. Further up here was the incident. Cone in the fence there. That's fine there, doesn't kick up any of the fire. And then braking, pretty normal point there, but still not being able to get the car slowed down, oversteer. And yeah, loses as part of 6 seconds, I think, right there. So shame for him. That's Craig Mason goes off for K-Style Sim Racing. Yeah, he drops behind, I think, Forsyth and Bowden on that occasion.
Yeah, there's a few guys really starting to have a little bit of difficulty out on circuit at the moment. We're just saying, as we saw the Porsche there at Phillips go off, he was very fortunate not to make contact with the tyre barrier and kept a straight car as a result. But yeah, a few guys just starting to drop off the circuit at the moment, which is a little unusual for what we've come to expect with the calibre of driving in this championship so far. As we drop back here, Michael Healy, well out of position, must be said, down in 21st at the moment. He's got Jovan Wood, the Pulse Racing team, just ahead, as worked their way through. A very different line there for Healy, just trying to float the car through, while Jovan trying to square the corner off and use the advantage the Porsche has for corner exit, but didn't make too much of a difference for him as they head up through into the fast S's towards the back straight.
Not really. This isn't really a proper race here, because Healy, of course, with that pit stop already under his belt, but still, Woods doesn't want to slow down and let his rival pass, because, or not his rival, but his at least his fellow driver passed, because I just lose him more time. As yeah, there it is eventually. Even a little bit wide through Sunset, but that might just be the line that he is comfortable with. He's got a bit more traffic to deal with in the near future. Still the top 17 yet to pit. Healy top of the drivers who has come into the pits so far, and that's alongside for a moment between Wood and Minette. Or maybe that was back marker, apologies. Plenty of drivers already a lap down so far in this race. You can see Healy just that much more confident, goes up the inside, and yeah, wasting no time at all in that 18th position at the moment. Dylan Burst, by the way, responding really well. Just set the fastest lap of the race at 55.2, so he is susceptible to mistakes, is Burst, seemingly. But on that absolute pace, seems like he might have the measure on Rizzo. You can see Rizzo a couple of occasions taking a chunk out of the race leader, but Burst responding very strongly. And yeah, it's looking like he's the favourite here with 20 minutes to go, but certainly still chances for things to change. Will he come into the pits this time around? He will, which is a little bit earlier than I thought, and Rizzo is going to be able to extend it another lap then. Newell, though, having to come into the pits. But yeah, quite a divide in the stretch here. Some drivers staying out, some drivers going one more lap.
Yeah, I think might be actually a good moment for Dylan to actually come through the lane, because they were starting to get up on the back of some lap traffic as we were just watching Rizzo come through. He's now got Justin Quinn in 34th, marginally ahead, so that might put him off just a fraction here as he tries to work his way down towards the hairpin. But yeah, for Dylan, we'll wait to see what the pit stop time is, as he's down and away 13.3 seconds. So a little bit longer stop than some of the other guys that have been in and out so far. And Will Newell, who came through as well, 12.4 seconds. So on average, we're seeing the guys somewhere around that 11.5. Actually, Michael Healy, 11.5, was the quickest guy in and out of the lane so far tonight. So maybe Ross has got something left in the bag that he's going to be able to throw at this one to finish out the race.
Yeah, perhaps so. Yeah, if he's got anything to spare, he needs to be showing it right now. By the way, there was a mistake for Dyson. I wonder if we could get a replay of that. I think he went wide at the hairpin and lost a position to Hupperts. Lost 3 seconds, I think, with that one. It was, yeah, completely by himself. You can see some good lap times for actually Dyson. And then, just locks it up. And then, well, he doesn't want to go all the way around there because then he'll pick up a slowdown. Pretty lucky there that Yemen was not a little bit closer, otherwise that could have been another unsafe rejoin. Fortunately, that was a bit of a pocket of air for him to rejoin into, so that's a huge shame for Dyson, who worked so hard to, gain those few tenths of a second when it comes to this point in the race, and then all of a sudden you'd give away 4 seconds just like that, which is tricky to make up as Rizzo goes for another lap. No one else is going another lap. Well, Huggins going another lap, to be fair, but this is, yeah, if he had any cards remaining, Daniel, he's certainly showing them now, is Rizzo. This is very impressive, the fact that he's been able to go this far into the race.
Definitely. I mean, most of the time throughout the season, we've seen Rizzo generally around that 25-minute range where he comes in and will take the pit stop. So he's found a little bit of something here that's allowing him to extend it a bit further on. We'll have to see whether he comes in next time by. Just quickly too, back to the rejoin there from Dyson. No doubt that I think we'll get a bit of a look there from race control because he didn't have a lot of room left in it on taking back to the circuit, so may potentially have impeded that car behind, but we'll wait to see how that one goes through. Scott Forsyth having a good run in the Aries Motorsports Porsche. Just got Michael Whiting ahead of him, as you see quite a few guys now in the lane getting their stops completed. This is a good little scrap here for effective 13th position now.
Yes, yeah, 13th place. Still, we've got Cam Walker to come into the pit, so they'll gain 1 more place, I think. So some decent points on offer here. Bowden just comes out of the pits behind these guys. Just looking to see if there's been any changes during the pit stops. I don't think there have been any. Of course, anyone who's watching on stream who's maybe just noticed there maybe being a change of place, but let us know on the YouTube chat, or if you're watching on Twitch. I haven't got the Twitch chats open, but thank you for watching along anyway on Twitch. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube and you prefer to watch on Twitch, then do follow our page on there, our channel on there, as Rizzo comes into the pits. But yeah, it seems like it's been fairly the same so far, but I think Rizzo, Janssen and Hagen could be in for a slight gain here. They should be in for a shorter pit stop. I doubt Rizzo's going to get ahead here of Burst, but gap could be down to maybe less than 3 seconds. I think that would be a win for Rizzo if he could get that close.
Yeah, well, Rizzo in the box now. He's just dropped and gone away, so a 9.10 second stationary time. This actually will put him very close to Burst as they go through. Dylan now tipping it into turn 1. Rizzo able to come back down. He's cut that margin by half, 1.8 seconds now, the gap, as they go on with 15 minutes left in this one.
Yeah, this is a mighty performance here from Ross Rizzo right now to stick it to such a competitive driver in the form of Dylan Burst. And yeah, that gap has gone from pretty much 5 seconds down to 2 seconds. And that is, some good strategy there from Rizzo. Obviously, I doubt Burst pitted early deliberately, but just Rizzo saving a bit of fuel in those early laps, perhaps when he was stuck behind other drivers. And he's, been able to use that to his advantage when, at the time, it was a little bit of a loss. Hagen ahead of Yemen. Is that a change of position? I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Certainly Hagen had a slightly quicker pit stop, but here comes Yemen. Not much of a braking area into the right-hander, but he's going to go for it anyway. Very generous there from Hagen to leave a little bit of room on the inside, but he does be able to battle his way back ahead. And yeah, he's holding on to that place. Janssen not quite being able to benefit from that one. I think Janssen staying in the same place in that 8th place, despite that longer pit stop, despite that longer first stint compared to Yemen. So these three very close for the closest battle up in the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, good little fight here for Yemen. He's actually backing up, actually quite a few drivers of these guys backing up from last night's AMF 4-hour endurance at Suzuka. So good to see the guys coming in. And for the likes of Rizzo, I mean, he got a second last night in a Hurricane GT3. So very different car to what he's driving now. And it's a pretty quick mental mindset to turn back from GT3 back to GTE. And a lot of these guys picking up with that very quickly as they press on to conclude this championship. Chris Taylor looking pretty good at the moment as well. He's had a pretty solid run so far, down a couple of spots from where he started, but pretty quite consistent run for him.
Yeah, that was was Coco was a bit wide. Yeah, not a bad night here for Taylor. As Vlog after that earlier drive-through penalty for causing a collision. He is back up into, well, he was trying to get back into 18th place. Koga's not going to have much of a chance at outside line. The faster way. Surprised that no one spun off actually on turn 1. I certainly know when I've raced around here, turn 1's a scary one, so bumpy. There can occasionally be a bump that you don't quite expect. And very easy to lose the rear end as well. The rear end, I always feel very easy to overtake the front around this circuit. Albeit I am quite bad. I did win Sebring 12 hours in the DP a few years ago here, but everyone else crashed, so I'm not really saying that it's a particularly impressive achievement. But yeah, this one is certainly a tricky circuit, a unique challenge for these drivers. As got Whiting being caught by, well, not necessarily being caught by Forsyth too fair. Forsyth's just staying close to him, but certainly Bowden looks faster than these guys. And last lap Bowden was 0.2 of a second quicker. He's just joining onto the back of this little train. At the front of this, I think is a back marker of Richie Domingo, who will soon be getting out of their way, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a great little scrap here as you see that M4 sports car just moving off to the side to allow the trainer 3 to come through, which is good awareness there. But yeah, Rob Bowden really sort of closed in on the back of this group over the past few laps. He's got himself in a very good spot here to have a run at both Scott and Michael as the race winds down. Matt Bailey, though, just had a big moment. Whereabouts is that on circuit? He's gone around, actually down into Sunset or Nighttime Bend. He's lost the Ford on the run in there, big wheel, and fortunate not to get collected by the preceding car there.
Yep, the AMR Esports car back underway. Yeah, easy mistakes made once again. Yeah, bumped, oversteer. What's a good combination. Woods actually got past Taylor there, so Woods up into 20th place, 16 places gained for Jarvan Wood. Great efforts from him tonight. Another shout out to another one of our sponsors on Apex Racing TV, Apex Racing Academy, who provide 29 data packs for road racing and also rallycross racing as well. Coaching for some of the best drivers on iRacing, such as Kevin Ellis and Peter Bayman, both podium sitters in World Championship Series. I think Kevin's won a couple of races in the Porsche Esports Super Cup Championship. Yeah, there's some brilliant tuition on there. Of course, you can use the setups that they use for their professional events, and also use telemetry provided by SDK Gaming. That's intertwined with Apex Racing Academy. So there's some fantastic features in that. Also one-to-one coaching, group coaching sessions, and lots of other stuff. So do check out Apex Racing Academy. That's at apexracingac.com for more information on that. Big thanks to them for helping us out on Apex Racing TV. yeah, back with this one. I mean, there's just absolutely no separating these drivers at the moment. Forsyth just cannot get past Whiting there. They're in the same car. And, well, all three of these, in fact, are in the same cars. And fixed sets up, of course. And so there is really no difference, no damage as well, I think, for any of these guys. So Forsyth has kind of missed the opportunity to overtake Whiting now, and he's going to have to probably pay most of his attention in the last 9 minutes here to keep it behind Rob Bowden, who on that last lap managed to take, in fact, actually Bowden just maintained the gap on that last lap, but he's certainly within striking range here. We could see an overtake down into the hairpin. Is the Aries Motorsport car going to go defensive? He does. Look to do well to go around the outside through the hairpin. It doesn't really work out for you that way. Yeah, the 916, thinking better of it, will wait a couple more corners.
Yeah, very defensive driving there from Forsyth. He set that one up a long way out before corner entry, just parking the car out wide. You see Bowden now with a big lunge in to try and attempt, not quite close enough with the switchback there, but Bowden's going to be looking to get a little impatient here. He's going to want to clear Forsyth as soon as possible because he's just starting to get in the way here. For every opportunity Bowden's looking at, Forsyth's just pushing him off into a different direction, which is really not going to be helping out for the tyre life on the car and only going to impact his run a little bit further. There's no doubt he thinks he can get up and close and pass Michael Whiting as well.
They just separate slightly to the middle part of that, and they can all kind of converge as the slipstream kicks in. I'm sure that'll be very close down into turn 1. 3.6 seconds the gap between the top two. I think we just saw a little bit of a graphic which was explained that. Fire again. It reminds me of Back to the Future, that where you got the DeLorean and you got the Charles and Fryer. I don't know if anyone has any idea what I'm talking about, to be honest, because it might just be my graphic settings, but that's what I see. That's what I see. There you can see the gap. Rizzo losing a bit of time. Does seem like Burst's got a bit more pace. He has made some mistakes in this race. A gap going from about 1.8 seconds when they came out of the pits to 3.7 now, so just opening it up ever so slightly. Vlog versus Lecty is going on a bit further down. Change of position right there. I think that was Vlog gets past Lecty actually. Lecty up 29 places, Vlog down 6, but obviously Vlog did have that drive the penalty to serve, so if anything, Vlog has had the harder race, has lost more time by doing the drive through than his rival had to start from the pits. And here was the replay. Oh wow, was it almost 3 wide here? Lexi trying to go through the middle of these drivers, but Vlog, I think, had the ideal line. Oh, well, just held on. And that was why the screen was kind of changing positions quite rapidly right there. But it was Vlog who stayed in 17th place and trying to get past Lee Siddles right now.
It also looked like, too, as we were watching the replay there, that Vlog actually got a little bit of a hip and shoulder there from Siddles on the exit of Sunset Bend that just slowed his momentum. So Vlog's going to really need to press on if he wants to try and gain that spot back and get away here. We'll wait to see how he goes as the remainder of the lap goes through. But Lecty, likewise, closing right back in on these. And we're almost down to the final 5 minutes of the championship. So all these guys are playing for the positions right now.
Ooh, Siddles wide. That's the place gone. 2 places gone. I think it was probably a matter of time. He would have done very well to hold them back for 5 minutes. And now got to pay attention to his mirrors with Lee Kogan closing in behind. Kick himself there for Siddles because, yeah, it was working. It was doing a lot of work to keep those guys behind and to give it away quite sheepishly like that. Always a frustrating one for a driver. Lecty, quarter of a second behind. That BMW should be quick down the straights, so could be in for a chance here. Racing through turn 1, certainly leaving no time to spare. Bailey spinning round meanwhile. And that was just at off the circuit at turn 1. I missed that one, but there was a car off to the right side of the track, I believe. I think there was someone else actually earlier on. I think there was, oh geez, who was it earlier on who went off. Del Braid went off at I think at the exit of like the Le Mans section, and was just you can barely see him because you can just see the side of his car. So it's can be tricky to spot those cars when they spin off. Oh, that's very close racing. That's Taylor ahead of Manhire. Oh, Minette's made a mistake as well. Chris Taylor, a bit further down. I think Taylor was up in the top 10 at one point, but yeah, he was started in 18th at least to Taylor, as he's actually going to be overtaken here by Manhire, the BMW. There you go, so Taylor now drops down to 24th position, but at least they're both ahead of Minette after that spin.
Yeah, good little scrap as these guys continue this exchange up. I think up towards turn 7 here, and Taylor going to come back down the inside. That's a great move. Very little space left for him to get that one through, and he snuck through with the opportunity there, and that puts him back into 23rd position. So a very good drive for him. If you guys have had some big movement up and down through the field, as we just switch up to Dylan Burse, who's now just getting a move done there. Actually, Lee Kogan putting a move on down in towards Sunset Bend on Siddles, and Kogan now should be able to press forward following that little off-track excursion that Siddles had during the lap there. So 2 places down for him at the start or at the end of that lap. That's not what he wants. He's probably only got about 2 more laps left in this one for the season.
One last shout out to our other sponsor for this championship, Virtual Racing School. Thanks to them for helping us out on Apex Racing TV. Virtual Racing School with over 50 data packs for road and over racing. You got setups, track guides, data analysis software, and one-on-one coaching as well. So big thanks to Virtual Racing School. Do check them out. That's VRS. I'm sure you're familiar with them already. But yeah, do you think about getting a subscription for Virtual Racing School? Some fantastic driver improvements you can get on through their software and website. Didn't burst running a bit wide there, as 3.3 seconds. We have got, is it going to be one more lap or not? No, it is just going to be one more lap then of the season then. We're going to be about 10 seconds short of forcing another one. I don't think any of these guys will be too close on field. Not sure. They might all be close. Of course, we saw Rizzo taking a chunk out of Burst during the pit stops. That was as close as he got. He got within 2 seconds, but Burst has just had the slight pace advantage. Perhaps not the way that Rizzo wanted to end the season, but I'd honestly say, to be honest, Daniel, I'd say this one Rizzo's best performances of the season. I mean, he didn't have a great qualifying 3rd place. It wasn't a great start for him, but then that move to move up into 2nd place was super brave. I think it was on Will Newell when he moved up in 2nd place. That was properly brave, and his pace since then has been very good. Hasn't made a mistake. Some nice strategy as well. Certainly a deserving champion, and I mean, the amount of top 2s he's had this season has been remarkable. I mean, one of the most dominant seasons we've ever seen in Aussie mixed and fixed GT Series history.
Absolutely. I mean, he hasn't really put a foot wrong tonight. I mean, there was that little bit of a delay at the start of the race where he was tucked up behind Newell, but once he's dispensed Newell and pressed on with the race, he's put a pretty faultless run together. Yes, he's probably a little further back now than he would like, although actually that gap has now dropped down to 3 seconds there. So Dylan just having another awkward lap last time by. It was a 57 for him. But Ross hasn't had a bad run tonight. I mean, picked his way through the traffic quite nicely. The strategy in the pit stop was sublime. I mean, it was just over 3 seconds faster than Dylan going through the stop there. So did everything right.
Absolutely, it's Dylan Burst. It's going to take the checker flag at the season finale at Sebring. But our champion, our 2-time champion, is Ross Rizzo, who claimed 2nd place. It was easily enough to become the Season 14 Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series champion. Congratulations to Ross Rizzo on yet another title victory. Becomes the first back-to-back champion in quite a while in this series. Newell rounds out the podium and Hutperts and Dyson in 4th and 5th place. We've still got Forsyth and Whiting with a tight battle. Bowden dropped off these guys by the end of the race. And we've also got Lichty and Kogan. I doubt Kogan's going to be able to pass Lichty here in Sunset Bend or Nighttime Bend. And so Lichty will be clear there in 17th position. Newell top of the pro drivers there, Craig Mason top of the rookie drivers, and also Jarvan Wood top of the amateur drivers. In tonight's race, just a few more drivers to reach the line right now. But yeah, nice season end right there, Daniel. The driving standards, there were a couple of penalties given out to Jazz. I think the driving standards on most part were very good, and some of the overtakes as well out here were really good. I mean, Sebring's not an easy track to overtake, but there are some daring moves, but great respect from the drivers. And yeah, we're already looking forward to season 15. That's the good thing about this championship, is that there's barely any waiting until we get back on track for the new championship.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we did have those few little incidents early on in the race. Fortunately, no safety cars as a result of that. But it was a great race to finish out what has been a fantastic championship so far. We did have some new drivers coming in, splicing it up a little bit, taking it to our defending champion in Ross Rizzo. And you know, up and down throughout the field tonight was an excellent run. And as you say, not long before the next season begins for season 15. And be interested to see how that will shape up to what we've seen from season 14.
Yeah, cannot wait for that one. Really looking forward to the new season to get back underway. The drivers, I believe, have all reached the checkered flag, or have they? We've still got a bit more time to go. I'm quite sure if the results are available or not. We'll also performing some donuts out on circuit to celebrate that championship win. But the spoils went to Dylan Burst tonight. He got pole position. He got a big lead in the early stages, and he had the pace on absolutely everyone. Dylan Burst of Vendaval Sim Racing wins here at Sebring. Ross Rizzo defends his championship and finishes in 2nd place. Another podium for him. Will Newell finishes in 3rd place. Then it was Nathan Huppert, Andrew Dyson, Tom Hagen, Daniel Yearman, Steve Jansen, Michael Healy and Byron Phillips rounding out the top 10. Behind that was Ashley Collins, Michael Whiting, Scott Forsyth, Rob Bowden, Craig Mason, Adrian Vlock, Adrian Lichty, Lee Kogan, Lee Siddles and Jarvan Wood rounding out the top 20. Then it was Cam Walker, Chris Barnes, Jake Manhire, Pete Minette, Joel Chikavazara, Matthew Kidd, Chris Taylor, John Pickett, Shane Griffin, Justin Quinn, Lucas Mikalev, Tim Himbury, Tristan Kosh, Nathan Saunders, Richie Domingo rounds out the top 35. Then it was Dylan Whitworth, Joel Proctor, Carl Goodger, Matt Bailey, Michael Schroeder, and Simone Perigo. Also Dale Braid, Jesse Butler, Jason Bentz, and Paul Warwick all took to the start. And Shannon Fever as well. Shout out to Shannon there in 46th place. And Todd George, did I miss Todd George? Apologies, Todd George. He was also there, albeit I think only, didn't even complete the first lap of the race in the end. So, our last interviews of the season, I think we can always rely on Ross Rizzo coming in for a chat, and that is the case. Should we have we'll have a chat with our race winner actually first. We'll have a chat with Will Newell, who managed to take a race win to, apologies. Why have I dragged Will Newell up? Apologies. I don't know what's happened. I've lost my marbles in the last race of the season. It was Dylan Burst who obviously won the race tonight. Congratulations, Dylan. Welcome to the championship. I mean, we haven't seen you on the grid too much before. Was that your first meeting tonight in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Championship, or have you done a few races in the past?
Yeah, that was my first race in the league tonight, so it's pretty fun, yeah. I mean, I saw it was running at Sebring, and I do like Sebring and this car, so I thought I may as well give it a lob and send it. So, yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, how much practice did you get for this race? Because you seem to be on the pace straight away. Were you able to put too much effort into this one?
I spent about an hour in the official server before the race.
Awesome. Well, that's talent for you. I mean, that's if you can get up to pace quite that quick. How was the qualifying that? Because that proved to be quite important in the end to get pole position. Were you pleased with that one? Was there kind of any room for improvement, you thought?
Yeah, look, I mean, first is pretty good. I'm happy with that, but it was far from the best lap. Like, I was about 4 or 5 tenths off the pace that I could have done end of the day, but I still got pole, so that's good enough end of the day. Don't need more than that.
And then the race starts was odd because you had the pole position, but yet you reached the start-finish line behind Will Newell. I mean, what was that about? Was that just hesitation on your side, or was Will kind of really pushing the limits there?
Yeah, look, I think it might have been just a little bit of hesitation on my side because I was going to wait a bit longer, but then it seemed like Will was going to go, so I thought I must have just went with him.
Yeah, and in the end, we managed to get back past pretty easy. Were you concerned when Ross went so far in that first stint? Because you pitted, I think, on about the 25-minute mark, and then he went to that further. Were you a bit concerned that he might just be able to pip you in the pits?
I mean, I did have a little bit of like a butterfly, I should say, in my stomach when that happened because, I mean, I did put a lot of fuel in the car as well because I usually overfuel like by a fair bit. So, I mean, I was a bit nervous, but I mean, 2 seconds or so out of the pit stop, so I wasn't too fussed end of the day considering how much fuel I put in.
And do you think you're going to be able to do any more of these races next season?
Yeah, for sure, oh.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing you there. Also, what's Vendaval doing at the moment? Because I mean, I saw you guys a lot in the special events a couple of seasons ago. I mean, what kind of series and championships are you guys taking part in at the moment?
Look, pretty much at the moment we're just doing a lot of special events and stuff, just trying to do really well on them, and yeah, basically just go from there. Then end of the year do pro quali again.
Awesome. Well, best of luck for that one. Dylan, if we don't see before then, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, like usual, I'd just like to give a shout out to Vendel Sim Racing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Dylan, and hope to see you back on the channel very soon.
Yep, cheers, mate. Thanks.
Dylan Burst there, your race winner. Well, I think we're going to be able to have a chat with our second place man and double AMF champion as well. Ross Rizzi, he's standing by with Daniel.
Thanks, Sam. Ross, congratulations. Good run tonight for yourself. Second place out there. You were hard pressed early on. We saw you in a hell of a fight there with Will Newell. Talk us through that one and how you found your opportunity to get through.
Oh, it was a super fun race. But yeah, I saw Will sort of struggling a little bit, so I had to make the pass, but I could never get really close enough. And I think at the end of it, when I showed the nose, he kind of let me have it, but then had these little half looks and things like that, try to keep me on my toes and things like that. So cool, aggressive racing there at the front, but then clearly had nothing for Dylan. He just, I asked him just before if he's come back down to earth, the alien that he was in that race. So great job to Dylan and to Will on a fantastic race tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, we thought you might have been in with a shout there when the pit stops came through, because it was about 2 seconds difference, over the pit stop time coming in. That sort of brought you back into a little bit of contention on the rejoin, but just the Ford just struggling a little bit out there tonight, was it?
No, I just think I just didn't have anything for Dylan. The car felt really, really strong. It was beautiful under brakes, turn in, traction. It felt really nice. So I couldn't have gotten much more out of myself or the car. So some days you just get beat.
Well, that's it. And let's turn to the big picture now. You are defending season 14 champion. Congratulations on that one. Little bit of probably a nicer finish to last season, a little bit more hardly fought along the way for you.
The feeling's always sweet, but it's it's also nice to have, kind of feels like the pressure's been taken off as well with someone finally picking up the W. So no, it's a great end to the season. I hope it was a great race for the broadcast as well.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun watching you guys go through, and season 15 only a couple of weeks away, I believe. Are we likely to see you back there going for the three-peat?
Yeah, I'd love to be back, especially if guys like Dylan, Will, and the other guys that are up in this series are going to throw really good challenges like that. I think season 15 could be one of the best yet, and I'd be a bit of a fool to try to miss out on that. So I'll definitely be back.
Fantastic, mate. We'll look forward to seeing you back on the grid for season 15, and congratulations on a very strong second place and taking home the season 14 championship. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and a thanks to?
So thank you first and foremost to AMF for running another successful AMF GT season. So thank you so much to Race Control for all their efforts behind the scenes. To Trick Esports, to Trick Custom Fabrications, Pro Sim Gear, and all the boys that have helped out in practice this week, all the Trick boys. And I believe we also nicked the team's championship with that result as well, which would be pretty nice. But we'll wait for AMF to confirm that. And I want to end off tonight with saying got some bad news from a long-time online friend who unfortunately lost his battle with a disease earlier this weekend. So I just want to send my commiserations to condolences, to Evan Sanders' family, affectionately known as Mopar in those scenes, and to the Forza motorsport community. They're a very tight-knit group, so they're feeling that loss as well. So dedicate the podium to Evan and that group.
Fantastic, mate, and very sorry for the loss there in the community, but very much appreciated everything you've been able to put forward for your title fight this season.
All right, thanks very much, guys.
Ross Rizzo there, your second place man and season 14 champion as well. Well, we're going to have one last chat then with the driver who did not win the race. Apologies for, I must have had a stroke or something. But Will Newell did finish in a superb third position in the end. Will, first up, race start, second place on the grid. You're in the lead almost immediately. Let's talk us through that.
Well, I was on Discord with Dylan. He counted down, so I sort of knew when he was going to go, so I just went.
It was a brilliant start, straight past him right there. Then you had a nice battle with Ross. I mean, Ross was kind of saying once he showed his nose, you kind of let him go. What was your mindset in that battle? How desperate were you to keep that second place, or were you kind of content to just let him go and maybe follow behind for a bit?
I couldn't care less if he went. If he went, I was just going to sit behind him and stay in the tail safe field. If he didn't matter. So I just let him through.
Absolutely. And then the pit stop sequence, I think he went maybe one lap further than Dylan Burst, I think. I mean, how tight on
fuel?
No,
we went on the same lap.
Okay, so that was pretty all right for you right there. And then Nathan was getting pretty close to you by the end. I mean, it was 1.5 seconds by the end. Was it getting a little bit sweaty in the car there, because you're starting to gain a little bit of time in those closing laps?
I was actually worried. I was more focused on saving fuel because I didn't think I was going to make it. So I started making mistakes.
Yeah, and how did you find the fixed setup as well? Because I guess not too many races you've done in this championship too recently. I mean, how did you find the set round the Sebring circuit?
It was my first time on it in practice, but had a lot of wing, had a lot of downfalls compared to what you'd normally run.
Yeah,
it was too bad.
Well, so was the Porsche then a little bit slow then down the straights? Was it just a Porsche thing, you think, that had a lot of downforce, or did it seem like all the cars had quite a bit of downforce?
All the cars. It's just an AMF set thing.
Well, yeah, certainly didn't hold you back whatsoever. Third position is a great result. Well, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, Delta Sport UK4.
Oh, we seem to have just lost him there. Maybe a slight loss of connection jumped out of Discord there. Will Neil, but that was Will Neil there. I think, yeah, giving a shout out to Adult Sport U4K there. Well, that pretty much rounds out the season then. And Daniel, yeah, it's been another. This is one of our favourite series to broadcast every single time. We know that whenever we turn up, it's going to be a good race filled with certainly strategy, especially for the endurance meetings, but then some brilliant racing for the sprint meetings. You know, I'm sure you'll join me on this one, just to, you know, give a thanks to the league organisers and the stewards for doing such an amazing job once again. They just keep on, you know, churning out these GT seasons, and they just keep getting better and better. It's been absolutely fantastic to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a very resounding championship that was run. It was great to see, you know, the competitiveness that we've seen up and down throughout the field. Take nothing away from Ross and the guys up the front. You know, they did a stellar job. There's also some huge fighting and respectful fighting that went on down in the midfield for those guys battling down there as well. So it was really good battles right the way up and down throughout the grid, which is what you want to see. I mean, it's good to see the young guys working their way through, getting up towards the pointy end. And hopefully that's going to continue on. I think the organisers have hit a pretty strong formula here that works very well. It's a little bit different to what we saw for season 13, where we were doing the consistent BOP adjustments on these cars. So they did remove that coming into this one, and it didn't really shake up the it didn't change the racing as much as what we saw in season 13. Everyone was just as quick, whether those changes were applied or not. So the setups were very good. The back end work that was put together to set it all up was fantastic, and all the guys put on a hell of a show. Hopefully we're going to see very much the exact same thing. Looking forward into season 15 now.
Yeah, really looking forward to season 15. We're going to have another 12 rounds of the championship to come. A slightly abbreviated season this, because we had the Winter Cup, so that we kind of missed the first 4 rounds, certainly on Apex Racing TV, but certainly when it did start, it was a fantastic one to watch. So yeah, big thanks to the organisers, the stewards, for giving up their time to make one of the best series really on all of iRacing. So massive thanks to them. Thanks to the drivers, providing us with such great action throughout the season, and thanks to you guys for watching along, whether you're watching on YouTube or Twitch, or whether you're watching on Facebook earlier on in the season. Massive thanks to you guys for tuning in, because we wouldn't do these broadcasts if it weren't for you guys. Whether you're a driver or just someone who likes to watch the racing, massive thanks for supporting the channel. Of course, if you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like on it, and also subscribe, because we will be back with the AMF GT Series, hopefully in a couple of weeks' time. Certainly the season will be getting back underway. Not 100% sure about the broadcast, but it is certainly a fantastic championship. And of course, if you're looking to get involved in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed Championship, then, you know, contact Ryan Kolstad, contact Dave Clements for more information on that one, because it is a fantastic series. Fixed setups, of course, you can get up to speed real quick. So if you're a fan of the GTE cars, do certainly give this one a go. Once again, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time, hopefully on Apex Racing TV for this championship. Do keep an eye on our streams in the time being though. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Daniel Leet, and from Scott Newton, we are going to say goodbye. And Ross Rizzo is a 2-time Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series champion. We'll see you back for season 15 in a couple of weeks' time. See you then.